Coffee time, coffee time. Yeah, this ain't your average cup of joe. Listen, I need it in the morning, I need it at night. He always keeps it brewing, he always keeps it tight. Just a little sip, it'll get you right. Terrance Pickett always be the one that gets the coffee right. The coffee's right, the coffee's right in my life. It's never a wrong time or a crime to get what's yours and to get what's mine. Come on. Coffee time in my life. Coffee time. Feels so right. I need a little sugar, put it in my cup. Can you stir it, Terrance? Let me know what's up. And at the end of the show, you can brew another pot. Just make sure you make it hot. Come on.
And great morning, everybody. Good morning, and good morning. Do me a favor, invite somebody, share, tell them coffee time is on. Okay. Wanted to make sure that the setting was right. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Out of all the things that you could have done, you decided to hang out with your boy. And for that, I'm grateful. Chanel! Wells Bracy. Excuse me for being extra. I feel real good. Good morning, Chanel. Nancy Falco, I'm sorry. Good morning, Nancy. Good morning. If I didn't call your name, it's just because I can't see you. However, I am grateful that you're on. So I want to talk about bartering relationships. So I did a video, Blue Francois and I. Blue have literally been my photographer for over 11, 12 years. And I want to talk about relationships because I'm going to use him as an example. He's been my photographer for about 11, 12 years. We have not always seen eye to eye. There are times we've gotten into it, but we did not allow whatever the issue was to determine what the relationship was going to be. We moved past it. We learned from it. And let me tell you, we've only really gotten into it twice. One time it was over some radio stuff. He was on air with me and it was a misunderstanding there. The other time it was over a client. Both times there was a third party involved that threw dirt in the air but would not show their hand. And I'm walking through this morning because one of the things that I think we as a people, we've got to do better in, we've got to build healthy relationships. I said it in that video. We've got to build healthy relationships. What does that look like? I don't think there's a person on the planet that you're going to agree with all the time, 100%. Dewan McIntyre, good morning, and thank you for heading to YouTube. For those of you who have a YouTube account, thank you for joining me on YouTube. For those of you who do not have a YouTube account, get one. So there's going to be differences. There's going to be a difference of opinion. There's going to be ups and downs in any relationship. Here's what we have to learn how to do. We have to learn not to allow the relationship to be based on the up or the down. Now, I'm going to give you some real good advice. When it comes to relationships, remember how you met a person. Remember, because if there's an exchange of currency or if favors are being done, then you meeting them on the basis of how the relationship was established, that's going to determine where the relationship goes in many cases, not every case. There are some exceptions to the rule, but in most cases, we meet because I work for you. You know, you're my employer. Then that friendship has been predicated on the grounds or the foundation of me working for you. And because that is the foundation, we're not shoulder to shoulder. So I have to respect how the relationship was founded, and I have to obey the rules that come with the establishment of that relationship. There are times when, you meet a person one way and they become more than that, but that you need to know that that's rare. And the reason I'm defining it that way and I'm saying it's rare is a lot of us, we make friendships, relationships, and we feel bad or robbed. Here's our thing, because they're not the friend to us that we've been to them. But I want to take you back to the origin of that relationship. How was it established? If there's an exchange or money is involved, how was the relationship established? Because that's going to determine where the relationship goes. And a lot of times our expectation for relationships exceeds the relational capacity. Some relationships do not have the capacity to serve you at a high level because how they were established and what they are. So you can't, Mike Grubbs, good morning, bro. So you cannot expect more from less. I'm not going to be on this morning at all, long at all. You cannot expect more for less. You've got to learn how to prioritize relationships, and you've got to learn what capacity or component or what folder these relationships belong in. All right. I have there's a gentleman that I met him. He lives on the street. Every time I see him, I would give him money. I give him money every week. Found him a place to stay, but there are some qualifications, just the way the system worked. There's some things that he has to meet. And I'm helping him as much as I can get into his own place. Finally has a job. He works for me as well. And helping him get established. We are not friends. But I have a heart for the young man. I care about the young man, and I'm doing everything I can to get this young man a home. But we're not friends. So I cannot put the pressure on him to serve me the way I'm serving him. He doesn't have the capacity or the resources. And what many of us do, we build these relationships with people. We don't understand their capacity or their level of giving, and we begin to expect from them what we give to them, and they don't have the capacity to give it back. Just because you know a person doesn't make them your friend. And just because a person doesn't have your blood doesn't mean they're not family. Just because a person has your blood doesn't mean that they're kin. So there are all types of dynamics to relationships. I'll give you another one. I have a Let's go. No, it'd be good. Good God. I have a friend and brother. Matter of fact, his wife is on. His name is James Bracey. All right. Chanel, his wife. She's my friend and my sister. We met at work. The relationship that was established, we were cool at work. And the relationship went beyond the walls of the workplace. And it got personal. I don't remember when it got personal, but it did. And I remember during that time, my aunt died. My aunt transitioned, went home to be with the Lord. And I was trying to get some information. And I remember calling James, and I remember some of the words that he said to me, words of encouragement. When we went to work the following week, I remember him coming to me, giving me more words of encouragement, told me how he's praying for me and my family. It got personal. Now, we worked together, but we didn't work in the same department. We kind of met in the hallway. We knew the same people. And from there to then, if I need something, I'll call him. If he needs something, he can do the same. Why? Because the relationship literally is side by side. It's iron sharpens iron. Later on in my life and my ministry, we end up attending the same church. So that relationship was built on brotherhood. Well, I don't know what you call a woman. Brother, sisterhood. He's the brother. She's the sister, right? I look at them as my brother, my sister. They've always supported. They've always, in some regard, had my back. They've always just good people, right? But I don't pull from that relationship unless there's a need. And then I understand where the relationship is. So there are certain needs that relationship cannot serve. I give you another, my little brother, Gene.com. All right. That's my dude. Okay. And I'll say train, and then I'll say amp. They're my guys, DJ Oxygen. Even though all of us are brothers, I have a different relationship with each one of them. There's some things that I'll tell Gene that I won't tell Train. There's some things I'll tell Train that I won't tell Gene. There's some things I tell Amp that Gene or Train doesn't necessarily know. Do I not trust all of them with the same information? I do. And generally speaking, just to be honest, it's going to come up at some point in time, but it depending on what it is, kind of determines who I reach out to first. Sometimes I get all of them on a call together and reveal it to, hey, this is what's up. You follow what I'm saying? Now watch. All of them are busy. They have careers. They have stuff going on. But if they know if anybody is in their corner who's proven, it is I. Right? And vice versa. But I do not overtax friendships and relationships. I do not overtax. Mike Grubbs is on. Okay. Him and Wes. These are my guys. But I don't overtax relationships. I don't strain the relationship to the point that it puts the relationship in danger because of my need. I've always had the mentality of, I'm going to figure it out. When I can't figure it out, when I've exhausted every area of opportunity within my reach, then it's time for me to reach out because whatever I'm dealing with is beyond me. That doesn't happen that often. It doesn't happen that often. So the reason I'm going through this, walking through this, is because many of us go into relationships. We have friendships. We have friendships with family and other people, and we have a high expectation on how that relationship should serve us, but we've not taken in consideration that just maybe that person does not have the capacity to meet you where you need to be met. And I know I'm talking good. Latanya Dixon, good morning. Tomosa McGuy, good morning. Akins McGuy, good morning. Teresha Lockett, good morning. So you have to be fair in a relationship, whether it's with your sister, whether it's with your brother, whether it's with your coworker, a relative, a friend. You've got to be fair and understand that person's capacity, as well as their makeup, as well as how they're built, and how they're wired, before you go to putting demands, especially unspoken demands, on anybody. I give you another one. Pastor Andre Collis Cooper. Good morning, sir. You have to be able to define your friendships and your relationships in order for them to last. I have a cousin, been my day one since day one. Literally, I'm at his house 4 or 5 times a week. Anybody that knows me, I'm not a house visitor type guy. I don't just go. My best of friends, I don't go to their house. I don't go to my parents' house. I don't go to my siblings' house. I'm really I'm a hermit. But this particular cousin, I think, has different space with me because how we grew up, right? And I'm at his house and we're talking and we're challenging each other. We're looking at things. He has a perspective and so do I. And we share those perspectives respectfully with each other, especially when it comes to some level of disagreement or maybe something has happened to upset my nerves and I need to talk it out. He's that one that I can kind of work it out with. Now, we don't agree on everything. In fact, today is his wife's birthday, so I want to say happy birthday, Bria. Happy birthday, Bria. I love you much. So let's just say I needed money. Let's say I'm in the hole. I need about $30,000-$40,000. He's definitely the one I'm calling. Because that relationships breeds that type of community. What most of us do in relationships is that we want one person to be everything to us. And maybe that is not why they're in your life. Maybe that is not why God placed them in your life. You've got to know where this person fits with you, your personality, not just your need. There are some people, when it comes to ministry, I want to pick their head. Andre Carlos Cooper. So he's much good Lord. Listen, when I say much older, I mean every word of it. He's much older than me. And over the years, he has been sound advice. He's been a solid brother. To be honest, his age wise, he's more like an uncle. Hey, Uncle Dre. But there's a brotherhood and a connection that we have. I believe whatever I need, I can call him. I believe that. And if he does not have it, I believe he's resourceful enough to either pray with me that it shows up or direct me to a community that can serve that need. Right? But none of my friends can tell you that I've overtaxed the relationship by being a burden and trying to make them my everything. That's why I got God. God literally is my everything. When I'm in trouble, when my back is against the wall and I do not know what to do, I don't necessarily seek resources. I seek wisdom. For me, wisdom is the principal key. All of my friends are wise or have some level of wisdom. Now, Mike Grubbs is on. He's one of my sons in the ministry, but he don't tithe and give. America wasn't big enough for him, so he went to Africa and started his ministry there. I can call Mike and ask him for anything. I have. I never forget. Y'all know Vistar be tripping. Vistar be tripping. So I went to use my Vistar card one day. I had given the business card to an associate. My daughter had one of my cards, and I had a card. Well, the card I went to use from Vistar wasn't working. And the only other card that I had that is my Cash App card. So I didn't have the money on the Cash App, couldn't transfer no money, because their little systems and stuff was down. And I think I needed, it was either $40 or $60 or something. Whatever I was paying for came up to that. I hit Grubbs. I need, he say less. He sent it. But about 11, 12 years ago, I needed $30,000. I didn't call Grubbs. I called another friend of mine named Stanley. Stanley gave it to me. Not only did he give it to me, I only had to pay $25 back. What am I? Why am I going through these things? Why am I sharing? What am I saying? Here's what I'm saying to you. Every relationship does not have the capacity to serve you in every area. Stop expecting people to be your all and understand why they are in your life, understand the space that they hold in your life, and don't you put more pressure on that relationship than it should have. Some people are just supposed to be wisdom to you. They're not supposed to give you money. They're not supposed to go bail your kids out of jail. We overtax relationships because we don't understand why people are sent to us. And when we overtax them relationships and try to make one person your everything or try and put responsibility on a relationship that is not built for it, that is why we fall out. That's why we fall out. I was telling a friend of mine just yesterday. Believe it or not, I don't talk that much. I don't. Anybody know? I do not talk. When I'm home, nothing. When I'm around my family, I have very little to say. And a lot of that is because I do so much talking everywhere else. I'm tired. But the other part of that, believe it or not, is my personality will not allow me to engage all the time. There are certain times when there are certain things going on when I need to be quiet because the situation requires a different level of thinking, and there are some levels of thought. In order for me to process, I cannot process them and entertain and talk at the same time. So because this level of thinking for this situation requires silence from me, if you get around me and I'm in that zone, I don't really have a lot to say. Well, who knows that? My friends know that. I'm very sensitive to people, and I'm very sensitive to the things of God. And there are some things God is requiring from me. I cannot occupy in that space and be a clown at the same time. Now, there are some spaces I get in. I can hear God, I can give you wisdom, and I can be a clown all at the same time. But that's not in every area. So one of the things you have to do in protecting relationships is you need to know you. You need to have self-awareness about who you are, where you are, and what's going on with you. And you need to communicate a lot of what's going on with you. So the people that love you, supported you, and with you, so they're not caught off guard when you just stop talking. So I never forget. Train and I were having a discussion, and this was years ago. It was me, him, and my brother Freddie. And this is when Freddie, of course, was living. Freddie was telling Train how funny acting I am when I get in this certain zone, this certain place. Freddie told Train, he said, I always know when my brother is growing, maturing, because he's very standoffish. He doesn't just readily engage. He says, and I know that God is dealing with him about him in those seasons. He said, so I fall back. Now, I don't really have anyone that occupies a everyday space, all day space with me where I have to explain that to. Most times, most of my friends as well as family, there's so much distance between us, not just geographically, there's distance because they're busy. I don't have to tell them this. Most of them know it anyway, because we're not occupying the same space every day. But Train and I was getting ready to go on radio. We were going to be working together every day. We were going to be seeing each other every day. We were going to be on air for 2 hours, and preparation is about 3 to 4. So there was going to be a lot of conversations, and there were some things perhaps about me he hadn't seen that I kind of wanted to expose him to. Hey, man, I shut down. I shut down at certain times, Train. Before I go on air, I need quietness. And he would giggle and laugh and pick at me because of how I would move before we went on air. Now, he's a total riot. He's a total riot. He's noisy. He is, before we went on air, he's noisy. He's comical. Who he is on that stage is who he is in real life. And sometimes it would agitate me to the point where I'm just looking at him like, oh my God, I need quiet. So here's what I did to preserve the relationship. I know he's noisy. I gave him the studio so he can make all the noise he wants, and I would go prepare in another room. Couple of times he would come in the other room. I didn't know it at the time, but he was doing it on purpose to agitate me. What you doing in here, Terrance? If you pray all the time, you won't have to take a certain time to pray, Terrance. Just aggravated me. But I would give him the room so I can prepare. Listen to this. We got to understand that every space does not belong to us. And sometimes the space that does belong, when you have guests, you need to yield that space and you go somewhere else. That's if you really love people. When you really love someone and you respect and value the relationship, you're going to exhaust every resource to keep the relationship in harmony. But if you become arrogant, indifferent, and you become egotistical to the point where you got to have it your way, y'all going to be fighting all the time. And eventually, you're going to fall out. And that could be the relationship that God has sent to not only make you better, but there are some resources connected to that relationship you would never get because you overtaxed it. You would not sacrifice towards it. And you refuse to be the mature one. There are some relationships where I have to go into and I have to pray in the Holy Ghost before I deal with certain people. But I know that about them. There are some people that are taxing. They wear me out. And I'm not wrong for saying that. Our personalities don't mix. I'll give you another one. Most of all the band members at my church, I raised, or I was a part of their musical development. We have intimate relationships. They already know me. when I come to church, there are so many things that has to be done. We're a small church. We're a young church. So it requires me to do it. Well, I don't have time for a lot of conversation. But I'm not going to make the people pay. I'm not going to make them pay because I got a lot to do. I don't expect people to understand until I explain. And so many times in relationships, we assume a person knows us and we assume they will respect parts of us that we've not even taken time to explain. You cannot expect something from someone when you've not given them communication. Communication. We think that well, they should know. You got common sense. Common sense ain't common. So you have to give people grace until there's communication. Now, after we establish boundaries, after we establish what the relationship is, after we establish the expectation, now I can hold you accountable if you cross that line, and we've had that discussion. So the whole idea is that we've got to learn how to protect relationships, build healthy relationships, and we can't be so quick to cut somebody off. Where does that come from? Especially you Bible toters. How can you just get rid of people so quick? People that you've had relationship with for years now, and I do get there comes a time in certain relationships where it is time to part ways. It is. The Bible talks, I think it was Paul and Barnabas. They had a disagreement. They parted ways. They're not talked about again in Scripture. I'm not saying don't part ways. I'm saying make sure you know that it's time to do that if you choose that, because you don't want to isolate someone that God has sent to help you, be a blessing to you, but because you don't have discipline in your communication skills, you've not communicated things that agitate you, and this person keeps agitating you, but they don't know they're agitating you, and you're mad, you're frustrated, but you've not even have a conversation. So before I go into covenant with anybody, there are certain things that I outline. Hey, here's what I believe. Hey, this is what I think. Hey, in times like this, generally I'm this or that. I establish my expectation. You don't hold people accountable if you've not communicated the expectation. You can't. Here's something else. This will help you. You can't rebuke people, yell at people, or chastise people when you've not communicated the expectation. Eat it. And develop discipline. Communicate. Have a conversation. And I think these things are necessary because there are so many relationships that we do need. We can help each other in so many ways if we would just take the time. Now, here's another thing. Most people can't communicate their expectation because they don't know it. They have no self-awareness. They surprise themselves. I just don't feel like being bothered. What is that to say when you agreed to come out to dinner with us? If you didn't feel like being bothered, what you came for? Well, I'm just in a different space right now. Well, now is not the time that you should have chose to have a fellowship. This is not the time you should have chose to have a boys' night out. You should have stayed home. Here's what we do. A lot of times we think we're doing people a favor by well, I'm going to go ahead and go because I know they want me to be there. You think you the star of the show. So you come and you bring all your bad spirits and your bad energy. You bring that stuff with you, and literally you become the sore in the group. And now everybody has to dance around you because of how you feel. No one wants to offend you because they love you, but you're hard to deal with. So because you're hard to deal with, they have fellowships without you. Then you find out, oh, they had a fellowship without me. Now you want to fall out with them. No, you don't have self-discipline. One. Two, you don't respect the relationship. This is why you think you're the star of the show. You respect what you want when you want it, but you do not respect the needs of those that you're going to be in company with. I know I'm talking right. Tell somebody you're not the show. You're not the Elvis Presley in this group. If we love each other, if we're in community with each other, we also have to have mutual respect with each other. Okay, I got an unknown user saying, good morning, bro. Hey, good morning. I don't know who you are, but I'm so glad you're here, and thanks for taking the time to speak. Andrea Mitchell, good morning. There's my girl, Latasha Hosey is on. Y'all give it up for Tosh. I said, give it up. So parameters cannot be set in a relationship until understandings are. Oh, that's my bro, James Ross. Y'all give it up for Ross. Ross, I'm not sure why it's saying unknown user. I'm not sure. It doesn't show you a picture or anything. But thanks for being on, bro. Thanks for looking out this past weekend too. You're not the show. Jalen Rose, who played for the Indiana Pacers, he's now a sports commentator. Right now, there's something going on between Draymond Green, Charles Barkley. Draymond Green got in he really wanted to fight. He hit Jordan Poole, knocked the little boy down, and there was a serious disagreement. And in the midst of talking about that, Charles Barkley, the commentator, ex-NBA player, who never won a championship because of Jordan. Anyway, he said that he will punch Draymond in his face. In fact, he want to punch him in his face. And when they asked Jalen Rose about it, here's what Jalen said. Jalen said, they asked Jalen, was Charles Barkley wrong? Jalen Rose says, absolutely. He says, as sports announcers, we're called to talk about situations, not agitate situations. He used different verbiage, but that's what he was saying. And I thought that was so wise that he understands his role, because here's what happened to people. When people know they have a big platform, when people are not in need, they got money, they're not looking for endorsements, they take at liberty to be reckless. See, one of the reasons need is so important is need will make you create discipline. Because when you're in need, you're careful how you respond. You're careful how you act, because you don't want to mess up anything that is supplying your need. This is why we get up and take our butt to work. This is why at work, when Shelly or Amy or Jaquisha say something wrong, this is why they don't get these hands. And a lot of times we've told people, you better be glad I need this job. Because you calculated the consequences and you need that money. So you need this job. So the need of money and the need of this job has made you or forced you into an area of discipline wherein if you were a millionaire or a billionaire, you wouldn't need it. You don't mind going to jail when you got money to bail you out and it's not going to hurt you. You got jets and cars and you don't need nothing and nobody. You don't need a job. Who you really are will come to the surface. So need is important in all of our lives. Let me give you this. This is why we need each other. You can't make it by yourself. I don't know how great you are, how gifted you are. I don't care how educated you are, how well you articulate. Articulate. It doesn't matter. Either or. You need friendships. Because everything you can't buy with money. Some things only friendships and relationships are going to be able to yield. This is one of the reasons why you need to develop the discipline to get along with folk. Stop being asinine and freaking stop being a mess. There's another word that I was looking for. Nuisance. Stop being a nuisance. Let people love you. Stop acting like you're the star of the show. You don't get to go out with the group and not compromise on what's going to happen. You should not be the decision maker for everything. That's not a relationship. That's dictatorship. It's not friendship. It's dictatorship. Everybody has to cater to you. You make it hard for people to love you. Then in your day of adversity or when you are in need, you wonder why everybody's so scattered and they're not calling to see about you, because you've hurt them people. You've abused those people. You've been difficult so much until they can't stomach your presence. And they're not wrong for not being able to handle your dysfunction. I know I'm talking good. Yeah, and God will forgive you. But it doesn't mean forgiveness doesn't mean fellowship. I know I'm talking right. I know I'm talking. You don't want to hear it, but I know I'm talking right. Forgiveness doesn't mean fellowship. I don't have to go out to eat with you. There's certain lines you should never cross. There's certain things that causes me to be uncomfortable with certain people. And though I forgive them, I release them, I do not bring the sin back up against them. However, because of wisdom, I have to love them from a distance, because I never know when that devil's going to rise up in you again. Even though I've forgiven you, even though it's behind us, we cool, we're straight, we're moving on like nothing happened. I still don't know when that devil's going to rise up, because I didn't know it was going to rise up in you the last time. So I need to give you space and act like God and the Holy Ghost and give you the freedom of choice to choose when that demon's going to rise up in you. But I promise you, I won't be in close proximity for you to swing again. And it doesn't mean I won't aid you in the time of need. I'll get you what you need. Hey, are you going by? Okay, I'll send Uber Eats. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna make sure you're taken care of. But you broken trust, and a lot of times we compare. This is what we do. We don't really understand forgiveness. I'm gonna try and explain it, and then I'm done. Here is forgiveness. When the Bible says that God, it says, as far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our iniquities and remembers them no more. It's not talking about God's cognitive ability to recant situations. I mean, he forgets it. No. God don't forget nothing. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He's the author of all intel. He doesn't lose information. He's not human. He doesn't forget everything. He knows it all. Good, bad, ugly. He knows it all. When it says he remembers it no more, let me. He doesn't give life to it. If I cut your arm off of your body, I have dismembered your arm from your body. Well, if I turn around and sew it back on, I remembered your arm back to your body. Re is a prefix. It means to do over or to do again. God does not use your violation, your sin. He doesn't bring it up again and use it against you. No. There's forgiveness for that. But people ain't God, child of God, a child of whoever your daddy is. We are not God. We don't know the heart and the intent. We can't search you in every area. So the moment you make some violations, space is warranted. We may never have close relationships or be in close proximity again because of the violation. This is the consequence of your action, but you are forgiven. We don't bring it up. It don't come to our mind. We do love you. It's just that we've learned to distance ourselves to give you time to mature. And if it is a relationship that God wants to be brought back together, God will do it. I promise you, he will do it, and I'm going to give him space to do it. I am. The older I get, the more I recognize I can't say never. Somebody was asking me, there was a young lady I dated, broke up with her, and they asked me, would I go back to her? Absolutely not. They say, why? Well, here's why. They say, well, what if God told you to do it? If God tell me to do it, I'm going to do it. You know, sometimes people throw questions at you to see where you're positioned. They're really not after the answer. They're trying to see where you're positioned. They're looking for weakness. So they throw God in the conversation. I don't care what it is. It doesn't trump God. I'm not going to say God can tell me all he wants. I ain't going to. Are you crazy? God is the exception and the rule. But we don't have God forgiveness. This is why Romans 8 talk about, and the Spirit help beareth our infirmities. There's a grace to let stuff go that we only get from God. This is why I take God to forgive. We don't have that human capacity when people have violated us to automatically let it go. But when you live in the grace of God, you can forgive folk. If you can't release it, it's something wrong with you. You're not partaking of the grace that's been provided for forgiveness. You're not. That's you. You're the problem now. Nothing's that serious for me to hold against you and hinder where I'm going in the grace that flows fluently in my life, because I'm not going to release you. It's nobody I can't forgive. It's nobody I won't forgive. It's not worth it. There's a grace to do it. So we have to rely on God for that grace. We have to rely on God. We have to rely. There go that word again. Prefix, rely on God to give us the grace and the ability to do things we cannot do in and of ourselves. We need healthy relationships. We have to talk about or why you act the way you do when you do. Is it a full moon? Does something happen to you when a full moon? Because we need to know. We're here to cover you. We're here to help you, but you're making it extremely hard. Some people hurt everybody around them and then cry for being lonely. Well, you idiot. What you crying for? You done beat everybody that came in your presence. You're silly. I know I got that right. Anyway, get yourself together, okay? Be a person that it's pleasant to be around. I don't know anybody that don't want me around. I don't. Met a few people, they say, you look too good for me to be around. I'm like, God bless you. I know, darling. I know. God did his thing with me. When your name comes up, people ought to be smiling because you're a pleasure to be around. Stop being a jerk. You're not the star of the show. All right? You know what I'm saying? When I come around, I'm the difference maker. They be looking at my muscles and stuff. Oof. That's why I have to wear big clothes. I got all these muscles. Anyway, well, thank you all for tuning in this morning. Hey, if you would like to give, we're able to do everything that we do. By the aid of the people, you are responsible for changing the lives of so many. And for that, I am grateful. I am. If you would like to give, the Cash App is on the screen. My sister's on Terry Cooper. What up, Tay? Kate Press is on this morning. Your niece Pool. Good to see you all this morning. I'm going to leave with these. Sunshine 1113. So good to see you. I'm going to leave with these final words. When things don't go as planned and situations or the outcome of situations are not what you expected, the first person you need to look at is yourself, and you need to ask yourself this question. Is this seed or harvest? Meaning, is it something I've done in the past and this is reciprocity meeting me in harvest? Or is this someone just seeding, showing me who they are? And you got to be honest with yourself. You can't, because here's another. You can't be the barometer of your own success. You need people around you that can check you and tell you how far you've come. You can't be the one that's sitting at the governing board about every move. Oh, I know I'm good. Oh, I'm humble. The moment you say you humble, you arrogant. Anyway, thank you all for tuning in. I love you guys so much. God bless you. We have Family and Friends Day. Let me tell you this. We got Family and Friends Day this coming Sunday. Some of you're members of other churches. I'm not bothering you. Stay committed to your church. Stay fruitful to your church. We have Family and Friends Day at 1:00. If you're going to be out of service, I'd love to see your face. We don't do all day church. We're in for an hour 15. I'd love to see your face. We're going to have a good time. We have my brother is going to be with us, my friend and brother, our brother Lowell Pye. Many of you may know Lowell from Men of Standard. He's also the lead vocals with John Pickett. Sung songs like Wash Me and Jesus is Real. That's his voice. He's the man for that. He's going to be with us this coming Sunday, and I would love to see you there. Remember, you were born to win, predestined to succeed. There's nothing that can happen to you that the wisdom on the inside cannot answer. You got to calm down, slow down, be quiet, and let wisdom speak. When wisdom speak, you will always win. You all go have a productive day, and always remember to think higher, speak life. Love y'all.